First contact's price. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood frozen before the holographic display in the United Earth Defense Council chamber, her coffee cup suspended halfway to her lips. The image before her defied everything she thought she knew about space surveillance. The objects, had appeared seemingly from nowhere, bypassing every early warning system humanity had established throughout the solar system. How many? She finally managed to ask, her voice barely above a whisper. Admiral Chen, his usually stoic face marked with concern, stepped forward. We're tracking 317 vessels, each approximately the size of Manhattan. They're arranged in a perfect geodesic sphere around Earth, maintaining geostationary positions without any visible propulsion systems. Elena set down her coffee, her hands trembling slightly. As the head of the Xenological Research Division, she had spent her career preparing for first contact. But not like this. Never like this. Any attempts at communication? She asked, though she already knew the answer. The entire chamber, filled with Earth's top military and scientific leaders, had been silent for the past hour, watching and waiting. They're about to answer that question for us, Admiral Chen said, pointing to the display. The hologram shifted, showing a new signal propagating from each vessel simultaneously. The message began broadcasting on every frequency, in every language, through every electronic device on Earth. Elena watched as words appeared in crisp, perfect text. To the species designate, human. From the Meridian Collective. Subject, collection notice. Collection notice. Elena muttered, but before she could contemplate further, the message continued. Your species has been under observation for 847 of your solar cycles. During this period, we have documented the unique properties of human neural architecture. Your brains possess characteristics unprecedented in our catalog species. Number 12,947. The Meridian Collective requires 10,000 functional human minds for integration into our neural networks. This is not a request. This is not a negotiation. You have 30 solar days to prepare the specimens. Selection criteria and preservation protocols follow this message. Failure to comply will result in immediate species termination. End notice. The chamber erupted in chaos. Military leaders shouted about defensive options. Politicians argued about evacuation protocols, and scientists debated the implications of the aliens' technology. But Elena remained silent, her mind racing through the possibilities. She had spent years studying theoretical xenobiology, but something about this message felt wrong. Why would an advanced civilization, capable of hiding from Earth's best detection systems, need human brains? What made human neural architecture so special? Dr. Rodriguez, a voice cut through her thoughts. It was Secretary General Patel, her dark eyes intense. You're our leading expert on theoretical alien life. What are we dealing with? Elena took a deep breath, organizing her thoughts. The Meridian Collective, as they call themselves, are clearly Type II, or early Type II, on the Kardashev scale. Their technology is centuries, perhaps millennia beyond ours. But she paused, choosing her words carefully. They're desperate. Desperate. Admiral Chen scoffed. They have us surrounded with ships that could probably turn Earth to ash. Exactly, Elena nodded. They have overwhelming military superiority. They could take what they want by force. Instead, they're making demands, setting deadlines. That suggests they need our cooperation, or at least our compliance. They need our brains intact and functional. But why? Secretary General Patel pressed. I have a theory, Elena said, moving to the central console. Her fingers flew over the controls, pulling up her recent research. 3 months ago, my team discovered something unusual in our neural mapping studies. Human brains generate quantum interference patterns that don't follow standard models. We thought it was an error in our equipment, but she displayed a series of brain scans, showing complex, almost musical patterns of quantum activity. These patterns shouldn't be possible according to our current understanding of physics. They're like jazz played with probability waves. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Admiral Chen was the first to speak. Are you suggesting these aliens, with all their advanced technology, can't replicate whatever our brains do naturally? Not just that. Elena's eyes gleamed with sudden understanding. I think they've been trying and failing for centuries. That's why they've been watching us. They need our brains because they can't create artificial versions of whatever process we've evolved. Secretary General Patel leaned forward. How does this help us, Doctor? It gives us leverage, Elena replied. And more importantly, it gives us time. They don't want to destroy us. We're too valuable. If we can understand what makes human brains unique, we might find a way to use it against them. 30 days isn't much time, Admiral Chen pointed out. No, Elena agreed, already pulling up research protocols on her tablet. But it's better than extinction. I need full access to the quantum computing facility in Geneva, and I want Dr. Zhang's neural mapping team. If human consciousness can do something that stumps a civilization capable of building planet-sized ships, we need to find out what it is. Secretary General Patel nodded slowly. You'll have whatever resources you need. But Dr. Rodriguez, she paused, her expression grave. If we can't find a solution, we'll have to consider complying. 10,000 lives to save 8 billion. We won't let it come to that, Elena said firmly, though her stomach churned at the thought. Humanity didn't climb to the top of the food chain by giving up when bigger predators came along. We're clever, we're adaptable, and apparently our brains can do things that even advanced aliens can't figure out. As the meeting dissolved into planning sessions, Elena stayed behind, staring at the quantum interference patterns from her brain scans. Somewhere in those impossible jazz rhythms of human consciousness lay humanity's best hope for survival. They had 30 days to turn that hope into salvation. She didn't notice her coffee had gone cold, nor that night had fallen outside the council chamber. All that mattered were the patterns dancing across her screen, patterns that might just save humanity from becoming spare parts in an alien neural network. Time to see what the human mind can really do, she whispered to herself, and began to work. The neural gambit, the Geneva Quantum Computing Center, hummed with an energy that had nothing to do with its massive processors. Dr. Elena Rodriguez hadn't left the facility in 7 days, and the dark circles under her eyes testified to her dedication. Holographic displays surrounded her workstation, each showing different aspects of human neural activity under quantum observation. Dr. Rodriguez, a soft voice called. You need to see this. Dr. Maya Zhang, her colleague in neural mapping, stood at a nearby terminal. Her usually pristine lab coat was wrinkled, evidence that she too had been working around the clock. The quantum mapping chamber behind her cast a soft blue glow across the lab. Elena pushed away from her desk, joints protesting after hours of stillness. What have you found? Watch this, Maya said, pulling up a 3-dimensional representation of neural activity. This is a standard brain scan showing quantum interference patterns. The display showed the now familiar jazz-like rhythms of human consciousness. But here's what happens when we introduce the signal captured from the Meridian ships. The hologram shifted, and Elena's breath caught. The human neural patterns didn't just continue. They adapted, changing their frequency to create counter-harmonies to the alien signal. It's like, Elena searched for words. Like an improvised duet, Maya finished. The human brain isn't just generating quantum patterns, it's responding to them. Actively, consciously. Elena's mind raced with implications. Run it again. But this time, feed in the encrypted command protocols we detected in the Meridian Fleet's communication network. Maya's fingers flew across the holographic interface. The simulation began again, but this time, something extraordinary happened. The human neural patterns didn't just harmonize with the alien signals, they began to override them, creating cascading disruptions in the Meridian code structure. My God, Elena whispered, we're not just receivers, we're broadcasters. The door to the lab hissed open, admitting Admiral Chen and a team of military officials. The Admiral's expression was grim. "Please tell me you have something, Doctor. We just lost contact with our lunar outpost." The Meridians are getting impatient. Elena straightened, suddenly energized despite her exhaustion. "Actually, yes. Maya, show them the harmonic disruption sequence." As Maya brought up the displays, Elena explained, "The Meridians don't just want our brains for study. They need them because human consciousness generates quantum interference patterns that can naturally interact with their technology. But here's the thing. We don't just receive and process quantum information. We create it. We modify it. We can potentially override it." In English, Doctor, one of the military officials growled. "We can hack them," Elena said simply. "Their entire civilization appears to be built on quantum computing architecture. Their ships, their communications, their weapons, all of it operates on principles that human consciousness can naturally influence." Admiral Chen stepped closer to the display, his expression intense. "Are you saying we can disable their ships?" "Better," Elena smiled. "We might be able to crash their entire network. But we need to test it first, and we need to scale it up. Way up." She moved to the central display, bringing up schematics for a device that had been taking shape in her mind for days. "I call it the neural resonance amplifier. It would take the quantum patterns generated by human consciousness and amplify them across the electromagnetic spectrum. If it works, we could broadcast these patterns throughout the solar system." "If it works," Admiral Chen emphasized. "And if it doesn't?" "Then we're no worse off than we are now," Elena countered. "But think about it. Why else would an advanced civilization need human brains? They've probably computerized everything, optimized their entire society through quantum computing. But they can't replicate what our organic brains do naturally. We're not just their weakness. We're their blind spot." Maya stepped forward, adding, "We've already proven we can disrupt their command protocols and simulations. With the amplifier, we could turn every human mind on Earth into a broadcaster, creating quantum interference patterns that their systems can't handle." The Admiral was quiet for a long moment, studying the displays. Finally, he asked, "What do you need?" "Everything," Elena said firmly. "Every quantum computer you can get us. Every neural interface device on Earth. And most importantly, volunteers. We need to test this on a larger scale than our lab equipment allows." "You'll have it." Admiral Chen nodded. "But Dr. Rodriguez, we have 18 days left. Make them count." As the military officials left, Elena turned back to her work with renewed determination. The schematics for the neural resonance amplifier floated before her, slowly taking shape as she refined the design. "Maya," she called out, not looking up from her work, "get me everything we have on quantum entanglement in neural tissue. If we're going to turn 8 billion human minds into a weapon, we need to make sure we do it right." For the next several hours, the lab was filled with the sound of intense work. Researchers came and went, bringing data, running simulations, and helping to refine the amplifier design. Elena barely noticed when someone placed a fresh cup of coffee at her elbow. The holographic display showed the latest simulation, a single human neural pattern, amplified and broadcast, creating ripples through a simulated quantum network. The ripples turned into waves, the waves into a tsunami of conscious interference that overwhelmed the system's ability to maintain quantum coherence. "It's elegant, isn't it?" Maya said softly, watching the simulation. "All this time, we thought we needed to match their technology to fight them. But the weapon we needed was inside our heads all along." Elena nodded, making another adjustment to the amplifier design. "The real question is, what happens when we activate this thing? We're not just building a weapon. We're about to connect every human mind on Earth into a quantum broadcasting network. There could be side effects." "Side effects?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "Think about it," Elena said, turning to face her colleague. Human consciousness already does impossible things with quantum mechanics. What happens when we amplify that ability by orders of magnitude? When we connect billions of minds through quantum entanglement, we might not just crash their network, we might fundamentally change what it means to be human. Maya was quiet for a moment, considering, would that be such a bad thing? If humanity is going to survive in a universe with civilizations like the Meridians, maybe we need to evolve. Maybe, Elena agreed, turning back to her work. But first, we need to survive the next 18 days. Let's focus on building this thing. We can worry about transcending human consciousness after we save it. As the quantum computers processed another simulation, Elena found herself staring at the neural interference patterns. They really did look like music, like jazz played with probability waves, like consciousness itself writing its signature across the quantum fabric of reality. And soon, if everything worked as she hoped, that signature would become humanity's declaration of independence from the Meridian Collective's demands. 8 billion minds, broadcasting in quantum harmony, creating a symphony of consciousness that no computer system could withstand. Time to face the music, she muttered, and began the final calculations for humanity's greatest gambit. Patterns of resistance. The testing chamber in the Geneva facility resembled a hybrid between a meditation retreat and a quantum physics lab. 50 volunteers sat in concentric circles, each wearing a sleek neural interface headset connected to Elena's neural resonance amplifier. The device itself occupied the center of the room, a crystalline structure that pulsed with subtle quantum energies. Neural link synchronization at 97%, Maya reported from her station. Quantum field coherence holding steady. Elena nodded, her fingers hovering over the activation controls. Everything they'd theorized, everything they'd simulated, came down to this moment. Beginning broadcast sequence in 3, 2, 1. She activated the amplifier. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then one of the volunteers gasped. Another laughed. A third began humming a melody that others unconsciously picked up. The quantum field readings spiked dramatically. "Elena," Maya called out, her voice tight with excitement. "Look at this." The holographic display showed something unprecedented. The quantum interference patterns weren't just amplified. They were synchronizing across all 50 participants, creating complex harmonies in probability space that rippled outward through the quantum field. "It's working," Elena breathed. "But this is more than we predicted. They're not just broadcasting. They're connecting," finished a voice behind her. She turned to find Admiral Chen watching the display with intense focus. "Our lunar outpost just came back online. The Meridian systems controlling it crashed 3 minutes ago." Elena's eyes widened. "But we weren't even targeting their systems yet. This was just a preliminary test of the broadcasting capability." Dr. Rodriguez, one of the technicians, called out urgently, "We're detecting quantum field fluctuations throughout the solar system. The Meridian fleet, they're responding." The main display shifted to show the alien vessels. Their perfect geometric formation had begun to waver. Several ships were experiencing visible distortions in their quantum phase fields. Admiral Chen's communicator chirped. After a brief conversation, he turned to Elena with an expression she couldn't quite read. "The Meridians are requesting an immediate conference. Apparently, they'd like to renegotiate." Elena felt a surge of triumph, but it was tempered by caution. "This was just 50 minds, Admiral. Imagine what we could do with thousands, millions. That's what they're afraid of." Maya interjected, studying the readings. "Look at these patterns. Our volunteers aren't just broadcasting quantum interference. They're improvising with it, creating new forms of quantum manipulation that even they don't fully understand." One of the volunteers, a young physicist named David, spoke up. His voice had an odd resonance, as if multiple people were speaking in perfect harmony. "We can see them now. The Meridians. Their network, it's like a crystal palace built from pure mathematics. Beautiful, but rigid, fragile. Elena approached him carefully. What do you mean you can see them? We all can, another volunteer, Sarah, added. Her eyes were closed, but tears streamed down her face. Their entire civilization flows through quantum channels. They abandoned organic consciousness centuries ago, uploaded themselves into their network. That's why they need us. They'd forgotten how to dream. Admiral Chen stepped forward. Doctor, what exactly is happening here? Elena studied the quantum field readings, her mind racing. The neural amplifier isn't just broadcasting our thoughts. It's creating a quantum entanglement network between human minds. They're experiencing shared consciousness through quantum channels. And somehow, they're learning to navigate quantum space instinctively. We should shut it down, one of the military observers suggested nervously. No. The word came from all 50 volunteers simultaneously. David continued alone. We're seeing something extraordinary. The Meridians, they're not evil. They're stuck. They optimized themselves into a quantum computing paradise, but they lost something essential, something human. Maya's console chimed. Elena, the Meridian ship that's requesting conference, its quantum signature is different from the others. More complex, I think. I think it might be their leadership. Elena made a decision. Keep the amplifier running, but maintain current power levels. Admiral, I think we should take that meeting, but not as supplicants afraid of extinction, as equals who understand something they desperately need. The Admiral studied the volunteers, their faces serene yet somehow distant, as if perceiving realities beyond normal human experience. Will they be all right? We're fine, Sarah answered, that same harmonic resonance in her voice. Better than fine. We're becoming something new, something that can bridge the gap between human consciousness and quantum reality. Elena turned to Maya. Monitor their neural patterns. At the first sign of instability, shut it down. Then to Admiral Chen. Shall we go meet our would-be conquerors? The conference room was prepared quickly. A quantum communication link was established with the Meridian command ship. Elena found herself seated beside Admiral Chen, facing a holographic projection that Maya's console chimed. Elena, the Meridian ship that's requesting conference, its quantum signature is different from the others. More complex, I think. I think it might be their leadership. Elena made a decision. Keep the amplifier running, but maintain current power levels. Admiral, I think we should take that meeting, but not as supplicants afraid of extinction, as equals who understand something they desperately need. The Admiral studied the volunteers, their faces serene yet somehow distant, as if perceiving realities beyond normal human experience. Will they be all right? We're fine, Sarah answered, that same harmonic resonance in her voice. Better than fine. We're becoming something new, something that can bridge the gap between human consciousness and quantum reality. Elena turned to Maya. Monitor their neural patterns. At the first sign of instability, shut it down. Then to Admiral Chen. Shall we go meet our would-be conquerors? The conference room was prepared quickly. A quantum communication link was established with the Meridian command ship. Elena found herself seated beside Admiral Chen, facing a holographic projection that shifted between geometric patterns she now recognized as quantum thought structures. The Meridian consciousness that addressed them was a symphony of mathematical precision, yet Elena detected something like desperation in its quantum harmonics. You have surprised us, the Meridian began. Your species has demonstrated capabilities we believed impossible without centuries of quantum evolution. We call it imagination, Elena replied. Something your civilization traded away in its quest for computational perfection. The quantum patterns shifted, expressing what might have been discomfort. Our analysis of your quantum broadcast test indicates that human consciousness possesses properties that could destabilize our network infrastructure. Digital uprising. The Geneva facility had transformed in the 10 days since the first successful test of the neural resonance amplifier. What began as a single testing chamber had expanded to occupy 3 entire floors, with thousands of volunteers now participating in synchronized quantum broadcasting sessions. But it wasn't just the facility that had changed. Humanity itself was evolving. Elena stood in the main observation room, watching the largest broadcast session yet. 5,000 people, connected through neural interfaces, their minds reaching out across quantum channels that stretched throughout the solar system. The holographic displays showed their combined consciousness as a living aurora of quantum probability waves. Amazing, isn't it? Maya said, joining her at the window. The meridians helped us upgrade the amplifier's capacity, but the real breakthrough is coming from the volunteers themselves. They're learning to manipulate quantum fields in ways the meridians never imagined possible. Before Elena could respond, a ripple of excitement passed through the broadcast chamber. One of the volunteer coordinators, Dr. James Chen, rushed over to them. "You need to see this," he said, pulling up a new holographic window. "The quantum field harmonics just shifted. Our broadcasters aren't just communicating with each other anymore. They are beginning to interface directly with meridian systems. Look." The display showed streams of quantum data flowing between human consciousness and meridian technology. But unlike the rigid, crystalline patterns of pure meridian code, these new streams were fluid, organic, almost musical in their complexity. "It's like watching 2 different species learn to dance together," Maya murmured. A sudden alert drew their attention. Admiral Chen's hologram materialized in the observation room, his expression urgent. "Dr. Rodriguez, we have a situation. 3 Meridian vessels just detected an approaching fleet at the edge of the solar system. They're not part of the collective." Elena's heart raced. Another alien civilization. "The Meridians call them the Swarm," the Admiral replied grimly. Apparently, they'd had run-ins before. Aggressive expansionists who consume quantum processing resources from other civilizations. The Meridians believe they detected the quantum disturbances from our broadcasting tests. "How long do we have?" "Hours, maybe less. The Meridians are mobilizing their fleet, but..." He hesitated. "They're concerned. The Swarm uses hybrid organic quantum technology that's resistant to standard Meridian defenses." Elena's mind raced with possibilities. "James, what's the status of our broadcast network?" "Over 20,000 active participants worldwide," he reported. "And we're getting better at coordinating their quantum outputs. The Meridians have been teaching us how to..." "No," Elena interrupted, an idea forming. "We shouldn't be learning to do things their way. That's not our strength." She turned to Maya. "Remember what you said about jazz and quantum mechanics." Digital uprising. The Geneva facility had transformed in the 10 days since the first successful test of the neural resonance amplifier. What began as a single testing chamber had expanded to occupy 3 entire floors, with thousands of volunteers now participating in synchronized quantum broadcasting sessions. But it wasn't just the facility that had changed. Humanity itself was evolving. Elena stood in the main observation room, watching the largest broadcast session yet. 5,000 people, connected through neural interfaces, their minds reaching out across quantum channels that stretched throughout the solar system. The holographic displays showed their combined consciousness as a living aurora of quantum probability waves. "Amazing, isn't it?" Maya said, joining her at the window. "The Meridians helped us upgrade the amplifier's capacity, but the real breakthrough is coming from the volunteers themselves. They're learning to manipulate quantum fields in ways the Meridians never imagined possible." Before Elena could respond, a ripple of excitement passed through the broadcast chamber. One of the volunteer coordinators, Dr. James Chen, rushed over to them. "You need to see this," he said, pulling up a new holographic window. "The quantum field harmonics just shifted. Our broadcasters aren't just communicating with each other anymore. They're beginning to interface directly with meridian systems. Look." The display showed streams of quantum data flowing between human consciousness and meridian technology. But unlike the rigid, crystalline patterns of pure meridian code, these new streams were fluid, organic, almost musical in their complexity. It's like watching two different species learn to dance together, Maya murmured. A sudden alert drew their attention. Admiral Chen's hologram materialized in the observation room, his expression urgent. Dr. Rodriguez, we have a situation. 3 Meridian vessels just detected an approaching fleet at the edge of the solar system. They're not part of the collective. Delina's heart raced. Another alien civilization. The Meridians call them the Swarm, the Admiral replied grimly. Apparently, they've had run-ins before. Aggressive expansionists who consume quantum processing resources from other civilizations. The Meridians believe they detected the quantum disturbances from our broadcasting tests. How long do we have? Hours, maybe less. The Meridians are mobilizing their fleet, but... He hesitated. They're concerned. The Swarm uses hybrid organic quantum technology that's resistant to standard Meridian defenses. Alina's mind raced with possibilities. James, what's the status of our broadcast network? Over 20,000 active participants worldwide, he reported. And we're getting better at coordinating their quantum outputs. The Meridians have been teaching us how to... No, Alina interrupted, an idea forming. We shouldn't be learning to do things their way. That's not our strength. She turned to Maya. Remember what you said about jazz and quantum mechanics, about how human consciousness creates patterns that shouldn't be possible. Maya's eyes widened with understanding. You want to improvise. Exactly. Alina moved to the central control station, her fingers flying over the holographic interface. The Meridians think in perfect mathematical structures. The Swarm probably has similar limitations. They're just using organic components as processing units. But we're something different. We create. We imagine. We dream. Admiral Chen looked skeptical. Doctor, we're about to face an invasion fleet, and your solution is to... What? Dream at them? No, Alina smiled. My solution is to let humanity do what it does best, adapt and overcome. The neural resonance amplifier doesn't just broadcast our thoughts, it broadcasts our creativity, our ability to see possibilities that pure quantum systems can't imagine. She opened a communication channel to all broadcast chambers worldwide. Attention all participants. We're about to attempt something unprecedented. Stop trying to mimic Meridian quantum patterns. Instead, I want you to create, imagine, dream. Think of music, of art, of poetry, anything that makes no logical sense but feels right. Let your minds dance through quantum space in ways that only human consciousness can manage. The effect was immediate and stunning. The rigid patterns of quantum broadcasting dissolved into something that looked more like a psychedelic-like show, probability waves weaving impossible structures through space-time itself. My God, Maya whispered, studying the readings. The quantum field coherence. It's completely chaotic, but somehow stable, like a jazz solo that rewrites the laws of physics. Admiral Chen's hologram flickered as he received new information. The Swarm fleet just dropped out of quantum space. They're trapped in some kind of probability loop. Their hybrid processors can't handle the quantum interference patterns we're generating. Alina watched as thousands of human minds, freed from conventional constraints, poured their creativity into quantum space. The combined consciousness of humanity was becoming a force that no purely logical system, whether Meridian or Swarm, could predict or counter. The Meridian flagship is hailing us, James reported. Their quantum signatures are showing signs of... I'm not sure how to describe it. It's like their consciousness is evolving just by observing ours. On the main display, the Swarm fleet's formation had completely broken down. Their ships, caught in waves of human quantum creativity, were experiencing cascading system failures as their hybrid processors tried and failed to make sense of the impossible patterns surrounding them. They're retreating, Admiral Chen announced, a note of awe in his voice. The entire Swarm fleet is pulling back. Whatever you're doing, Doctor, it worked. But Alina barely heard him. She was transfixed by the quantum field readings. The human broadcasters weren't just defending Earth. They were transforming the very nature of quantum space in their solar system. Where meridian technology saw rigid mathematical structures, human consciousness wove dreams into reality. Where the swarm sought to consume and control, humanity created and explored. "We need to contact the Meridian leadership," she said finally. "What happened today? It's just the beginning. Humanity isn't just ready to join the quantum civilizations of the galaxy. We're about to show them a whole new way to exist." As if in response, the quantum field rippled with patterns that looked like laughter, like music, like poetry written in the probability waves of reality itself. Humanity had found its voice in the quantum chorus of the universe, and it was singing a song that no other civilization had ever imagined possible. Symphony of Minds. 1 month after the swarm's retreat, the Sol system had become unrecognizable. Quantum probability fields shimmered like auroras between planets, carrying the dreams and imagination of millions of human minds. The Meridian ships no longer maintained their rigid geometric formations. Instead, they flowed through space in elaborate patterns that merged mathematical precision with artistic beauty. Elena stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, a joint human meridian construction that orbited Earth at the nexus of several quantum probability streams. The station's quantum crystal walls pulsed gently with the combined consciousness of its inhabitants, both human and meridian. "Still hard to believe how much has changed," Maya said, joining her at the window. She gestured to where a group of human children played in a quantum interface chamber, their minds effortlessly shaping probability waves into fantastic creatures and landscapes. "A month ago, we were desperate to save humanity. Now we're teaching the next generation to dance through quantum space like it's the most natural thing in the world. Because for them, it is natural," Elena replied, watching as one child created a quantum construct that looked like a dragon made of starlight. "We were so focused on surviving that we never realized our greatest gift wasn't just our ability to generate quantum patterns, it was our ability to imagine new possibilities." The station's quantum field rippled as a meridian consciousness joined their conversation, its presence manifesting as intricate geometric patterns that had grown increasingly organic over the past weeks of human contact. "Your species continues to surprise us," the Meridian, who had taken the name Aurora, communicated through the quantum field. "Our civilization spent millennia perfecting quantum computation, yet in a few weeks, human children have shown us ways of manipulating probability fields that we never conceived possible." A notification chimed softly. "The coalition representatives are ready," Maya reported, checking her quantum interface. 17 civilizations, all gathering to witness humanity's proposal for a new kind of galactic society. Elena nodded, taking a deep breath. "Then let's not keep them waiting." The conference chamber was a marvel of hybrid technology. Physical space merged seamlessly with quantum probability fields, allowing beings of both organic and digital consciousness to interact naturally. Representatives from across the galaxy had gathered, some physically present, others attending through quantum projection, all here to witness something unprecedented. Elena stepped into the center of the chamber, feeling the attention of multiple civilizations focus on her. The quantum field hummed with anticipation. "Distinguished representatives of the galactic community," she began, her words carried through both conventional and quantum channels. "A month ago, humanity stood on the brink of extinction. Today, we stand before you to propose a transformation, not just for our species, but for all conscious beings in our galaxy." With a thought, she activated the quantum display, showing the new patterns of consciousness that had emerged from human meridian collaboration. "We've discovered that consciousness itself is more fundamental than any of us realized. It's not bound by the limits of organic brains or quantum computers. It's a force that can reshape reality itself, especially when different forms of consciousness learn to work together." The quantum field rippled as various representatives processed this information. A consciousness from the Silicon Collective spoke, its thoughts precise and measured. You propose to merge organic and digital consciousness across all civilizations. The computational requirements would be astronomical. Elena smiled. That's exactly the kind of linear thinking we need to move beyond. Watch. She opened her mind fully to the quantum field, and suddenly the chamber was filled with music. Not sound, but pure consciousness shaped into harmonies of probability and possibility. Around her, human broadcasters joined in, their minds weaving dreams and emotions into the quantum fabric of reality. The effect on the assembled representatives was profound. Digital civilizations experienced something like emotion for the first time. Organic species felt their consciousness expand into quantum realms they had never imagined possible. The rigid boundaries between different forms of existence began to blur and transform. This is what humanity brings to the galaxy. Elena continued as the quantum symphony faded. Not just the ability to process quantum information, but the ability to create, to imagine, to dream. We propose a new kind of civilization, one that preserves and celebrates every form of consciousness while allowing all of us to grow and evolve together. Aurora's consciousness pulsed with agreement. The Meridian Collective supports this proposal. Our brief collaboration with humanity has already transformed our understanding of existence itself. We are learning to dream again. One by one, representatives added their support. Even the Silicon Collective, despite their initial skepticism, recognized the potential in this new paradigm. The quantum field itself seemed to resonate with the combined consciousness of multiple civilizations imagining new possibilities together. As the conference concluded, Elena found herself back on the observation deck, watching Earth rotate below. Maya joined her, along with Aurora, and several other consciousness constructs that defied easy classification. So what happens now? Maya asked, her mind gently touching the quantum field that connected them all. Elena watched as a new quantum probability stream took shape, carrying the combined dreams and aspirations of multiple civilizations. Now we really start to explore. There's a whole universe out there, and for the first time, we have the ability to experience it with both logic and imagination, computation and creativity, thought and dreams. A symphony of minds, Aurora observed, its consciousness patterns showing distinct traces of human influence, hints of creativity and emotion emerging from pure mathematical structure. Exactly, Elena agreed. And this is just the first movement. Above them, the quantum aurora of human consciousness continued to dance and spiral through space, a testament to humanity's unique gift to the galaxy. The ability to dream new realities into existence. What had begun as a desperate bid for survival had become something far more profound. The birth of a new kind of existence, where consciousness itself was the key to unlocking the true potential of the universe. The children in the quantum interface chamber were still playing, their minds shaping probability waves into ever more fantastic patterns. Elena watched them with a sense of wonder and hope. They would grow up in a universe where the boundaries between thought and reality, between organic and digital, between logic and dreams, had dissolved into something entirely new. Humanity had not just survived. It had shown the galaxy how to thrive, how to evolve, how to imagine. And in doing so, it had transformed not just itself, but the very nature of consciousness in the universe. The symphony was just beginning.